What is the weirdest thing you have seen at someone's house that they thought was completely normal? I had a friend in elementary school who was not allowed into the sitting room or dining room. He had a hamster that he was allowed to put into a ball that would run around the house. One day the hamster got into the forbidden zone and he freaked out. He was seriously worried, but his parents were not home. He didn't know what to do, but he assumed they would be more angry if he left the hamster in that room, so he went in and got the hamster out. As soon as his parents came home, he ran downstairs and apologized for the footprints on the carpet. He said, "I'm sorry about the footprints on the carpet. The hamster went into there and I had to get it out." They looked like they were going to talk to him about it later. It was nutty. Not that weird, but my childhood bestie and his siblings had been manipulated into thinking that vacuuming was a privilege. They were literally fighting over who got to do the vacuuming whilst I played Crash Team Racing. I imagine Rod and Todd Flanders. A friend of mine had converted her loft space into a spare room, which her ex-boyfriend moved into after they split up. They were not living together prior to the split. I always found that a bit weird, because he had to go into her bedroom and pull down the loft ladder to access his own room. It must have been awkward when they had new boyfriends' girlfriends staying over. That is strange. A large catfish in the only bathtub of my Vietnamese friend's house. He told me they fatten them and purify them for a few days before eating it by feeding it a special diet. Oh, and they showered with it. Staying over at my friend's house, had to pee, couldn't because his dad was asleep naked on the toilet. Assert your dominance, pee on him. They let their kids write all over their bedroom walls and locked them inside their rooms at night. You could only get around via small pathways between piles of stuff. I didn't realize it at the time, but they were obviously hoarders. I helped clean out a house going to an estate sale many years ago. The owner died. There was a working toilet in the dining room. Sounds like one of my houses in The Sims. In 6th grade I was staying at a friend's house, who went to the bathroom. I heard him call for his mom soon after. He was pooping and left the door open so his mom could come wipe him. He told me this like it was completely normal. I know someone who still does this for her daughter who is around 12. Her reasoning is that she doesn't want her kid to grow up too fast. The kid also doesn't know how to tie her shoes or ride a bike. The mom also refuses to let the kid make her own food, not even a sandwich, because butter knives are dangerous apparently. She is gonna have some issues later in life. They only ever drank soda, and almost always from the aluminum cans. Instead of recycling the cans though, they just hoarded them, so their entire freaking house had aluminum cans around. There were garbage bags full of them, located everywhere in the house, and none of them found this even the tiniest bit strange. We didn't hoard the cans, but my family drank soda like that. Now I'm in my 30s and wish I hadn't. I guess I can fix it with my kids. A mushroom growing in the corner of the shower. They were trying to see how big it would grow. The scientist in me would think that was awesome, but that's also a little gross. Not having a single freaking thing in the kitchen cabinets, ever. No plates, no silverware, no cups, pots or pans, nothing. Not even an ounce of food. Their stove wasn't even hooked up. The fridge was full of water bottles and sodas. They had a deep freeze with boxes and boxes of microwave food for emergencies. They literally ate every single meal from a fast food place. Once I mentioned wanting spaghetti while I was there and they flipped out because that was like special occasion food. You went to sit down restaurants for that and it was expensive. I understand how people can grow up not knowing how to cook. If this is the environment they grew up in, that blows my mind. My friend in high school would be proud of his dad's artwork and show everyone. The artwork, naked superheroes, sklongs and all. The Just Butt League. A large Folgers coffee can that the father pee in the middle of the night. Apparently, he doesn't like getting out of bed to relieve himself. So he just flops his thing out from under the covers, pisses in the coffee can and goes back to sleep. When I was 12, a friend of mine invited me over to her friend's house to swim in her pool. She shows us to her room to change, and as I'm changing I hear my friend whisper, "What the heck?" I turn and look and there are about 8-10 used Maxi pads lined up on this girl's desk. The girl comes in shortly after and my friend flat out asks her what the pads were all about. Apparently her parents made her do that so they could check she wasn't pregnant and or being sexually active. I found out later that the parents were super religious and this was their way of knowing that their daughter was still pure. My best friend's dad had a thing for artistic nudes, and when I say a thing, I mean every surface in the house had some sort of painting or sculpture of a naked man or woman. He's a perfectly well-rounded individual and I like him a lot. I just guess he likes naked people. I was playing Nintendo 64 at a friend's place when I was 13. I farted and he got scared and kept a lookout for his parents who were upstairs. After that, he said that I had to fart in the bathroom from now on. Never went back. I am absolutely telling my kids to use this prank on other kids from now on. Walked into my friend's kitchen. He says I could grab anything I wanted out of his pantry. I see boxes and boxes of expired food. I'm not just talking about food that expired a month ago, or even a year ago. I'm talking about expiration dates from 1995. There were plenty of different snack foods with similar expiration dates. He thought this was completely normal, and that the food still has taste. I was afraid of opening anything I found. My childhood best friend grew up in an extremely messy house. He was one of about 8 children. We were digging around his house for a VHS. I was 12 in 2000 when I found a styrofoam takeout container. Something hard was rattling around in it. I feared that it would be old dried up food but succumbed to my curiosity and proceeded to open the box. Inside was a small brown shriveled up snake looking thing. I stared at it for a few moments trying to process what it was when I hear my friend's mother call out, "Oh, that's just his umbilical cord." I was completely shocked, especially because that particular child was already about 3.5 years old at the time. When I was 5, I went over to a friend's house. She offered me a snack, and I accepted. The snack was cinnamon graham crackers that she dug out of the depths of the couch. And I don't mean a package of graham crackers. She just fished out the bare crackers themselves, and we had a nummy snack. At the time, I just thought that was very convenient. In retrospect, I can see where I might be mistaken. When I was 16, my friend moved from her mom's house to her dad's house because he couldn't pay child support anymore, so her sister stayed with her mom and she stayed with her dad. Then it was an even split. He lived in a trailer on a large piece of land in the middle of nowhere. I go over one day for a sleepover and her dad isn't there. The next day, not there. The next day, no dad. When I asked where he was, she said he didn't live there. He lived with his mom. His mom just paid for her to live there. It seemed cool at the time. Many awesome parties were had. Many bad parties were had. But looking back on it, WTH. A 16-year-old girl lived there all alone in the middle of nowhere. A pee bucket. They would use it for their garden for most of the year except for winter, where they wait until it gets full and dump it all in the toilet. They did it to save money. A girl I knew in high school has 9 Yorkies who all wore doggy diapers. I thought it'd be fun to play with them, but when there's that many of them they start getting a hunting pack mentality. God help you if you walked into that house unprepared. My aunt had 7 Jack Russell Terriers. They were the freaking worst and definitely had a pack mentality. I had to make a display of dominance over the alpha male so they'd stop being aggressive toward me, and my aunt flipped her crap. Apparently if her dogs wanted to bite me or tear my shoes to pieces, I was just supposed to let them. My friend and his wife dug a hole in the backyard that's just full of their kids' dirty diapers. That's it, nothing else. Makes everywhere around their house stink horribly. The place sounds like a real crap hole. This actually happened about a week ago when I went with my friend to his cousin's house to watch the Super Bowl. There's 3 roommates well into their 20s. All live in a small basement, their beds literally touching each other. There's a kitchen down there, garbage all over the floor, and when I got there around 5 PM neither one of them had gotten out of bed. Mind you, in the floors above they have perfectly good and ready rooms for each individual. Was walking through town with my buddy once, and we suddenly ran into one of his friends, a guy he hadn't seen for several years. So the usual small talk ensues, and he says, "Why don't you guys come to my house for a coffee or something?" Since he lived in the city. We figured why not, and walked and talked back to his place. So we get to his place, and it's nasty as frick. I'm talking filthy. Not so much dirt and grime, but objects strewn about, the sink high with cutlery, toys and other crap from his son, absolutely everywhere. Total disarray. This guy also had a dog, and it smelled a little funky. He offers us both a cup of coffee, and quickly notices, surprise, that there are no clean cups. So what does this guy do? Picks up 2 mugs from the coffee table, which was virtually invisible due to junk, and no word of a freaking lie. He puts them down towards his dog's nose, lets the dog lick the dregs out of the cups, then legit starts making the coffee, without washing the cups. Needless to say, we both just sat there holding the cups, feigning taking a sip every now and again. Parted soon after. He did it as though it was the most natural thing in the world. Screw tact. I think in this case you are perfectly fine telling the guy those cups are disgusting and you are not drinking from a cup that a dog licked. When I was a kid, 12-14 about, I was once visiting a friend. He was sickened in his bed. His older brother was teasing him and annoying him, so the father took the older boy downstairs and while I was there continued to horsewhip the older brother as a punishment. I could hear the older brother being whipped, the whoosh of the whip and the crack of the whip and the cries of the older brother. They were always an odd family with a lot of issues. It came out later that the older brother was molesting the younger sister. All very odd, but to do while another person was in the house and thinking that was acceptable. Whoa, is nearly 30 years later and it still bothers me. It's not that weird, but I remember hanging out at my friend's house when I was a kid and I was going to sleep over, so I was there around 24 hours. His family didn't drink anything unless they were eating a meal. It's like they had 3 drinks a day, whereas my family pretty much had a drink around whenever we were in the house. Even if it was just a warm glass of water. I was so used to always having something to drink that when I was sitting at my friend's house I felt like I was going to die from dehydration. I kept asking for something to drink, but I didn't want to do it too much that I was annoying. At the time that was something really strange to me, and they probably thought I was the strange one. Exactly the same thing happened to me when I was like 10. I was too young and shy to straight out ask for a drink, so I went to the bathroom to drink from the tap. But I couldn't find the light switch. I ended up drinking from the hot tap. I don't regret a single second. A pet raccoon that had free roam of the entire house. I was friends with twins growing up, and their dad owned his own construction business. While demolishing a house, he accidentally killed a mama raccoon and ended up taking her baby home to the family to keep as a pet. I did not know this when I visited their house once and saw the thing emerge from a laundry basket in the hallway, and I completely freaked out. The 2 brothers were trying to figure out why I was reacting that way. I'm still good friends with them to this day. This incident occurred in the mid-80s. My friend from middle school had a massive fat Buddha statue in his living room, an otherwise completely normal American household, but with a freaking massive, gold-colored Buddha that almost touched the ceiling watching over this white Protestant family. I never asked why. It was covering the secret passageway. First time I went to my friend's house for dinner, his parents gave me a bowl of mayonnaise to eat. They all had one too, and out of sheer politeness I ate it. Half an hour later my boss mom comes in with fried fish and veggies. I like this one. You stumbled onto what you thought was an insane family pastime, and then you ended up being the weird kid who likes to devour mayo. When I was in the 1st grade, I went over to this girl's house. We were playing and at one point, we heard yelling. She went, "Quick, hide. My brother's back and he'll beat us up if he catches us." As we both hid under the bed, I was just going WTF. He was going around the house screaming for her to come out from hiding. It felt like we were hiding for a very long time before she decided it was safe for us to get out. I still don't know what the heck was going on. I don't remember what we were doing, but it's mostly chatting and playing in her room. We didn't go to his room or touch his things, as far as I can remember. Oh, and that girl eventually developed a pretty violent streak too and became my bully. They're a weird butt family. They did crazier stuff too. That's pretty sad. It sounds like her family was abusive, and she took on their personalities. Not all that odd, but my childhood friend's family wouldn't put pepper on anything. They legitimately didn't even own pepper. They also basically only ate starches. Vegetables and fruit were rumors in that household. My friend developed a weight problem and became dangerously constipated, which he constantly informed me about. But hey, at least he didn't have a sad time freaking limp jar. Constantly constipated is filmed in front of a live studio audience. I have a friend that just doesn't like pepper either. It's a little odd. He also lives above a convenience store and never cooks, so he just goes down to the deli counter or small frozen food section after getting home from work to get his dinner every day. He's always constipated too. Like this video and this good boy will play you a nice song. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.